This is my granddaughter who's now
Hey, good morning, everyone. Pastor Brian Noble, CEO of Family Policy Institute of Washington and FPIW Action. We are going to have a special guest on in just a few moments. Remind you that if you have a question, put it into the comment section there. We have a number of you watching right now, so if you can hear me and the audio is coming out, I'm at a different location, so I want to make sure that my audio is working. Just if someone could type in the comments that you are jumping in and being a part. We have a new app out, the Washington Defender app, and if you haven't checked it out, I want to quickly play this to show you just a little bit about what it's about. So let me show you this Washington Defender app.
You love our beautiful state, but does fighting for issues that most affect families ever feel like you're climbing alone? It can feel like an uphill climb in a hostile environment that champions causes detrimental to Washington families. Again and again, the summit feels out of reach, but you don't have to climb alone. With like-minded people fighting for Washington families by your side, the journey becomes not just possible, but powerful. The Defender app, brought to you by the Family Policy Institute of Washington, connects you with your team for the climb ahead. Connect with conservatives who care about issues affecting families in your specific county and across our state in order to make our voices be heard locally and in Olympia. Simply click Learn to stay informed about the latest news affecting families. With one click, press Huddle to team up with other conservative minds in your specific county who care about how these issues affect you in your unique community. Then simply press Activate to get involved and to make your voice heard on legislation that matters in Olympia. With the Washington Defender app, you won't face the fight alone. Together, we can make a difference for families in Washington. Download the Washington Defender app today, a simple way to let your voice be heard.
All right, so that's our Washington Defender app. I want to encourage you to download that. We're live in Olympia. I'm at one of our remote offices here and just hanging out. We're going to have a special guest in just a few moments, but before they jump on, I wanted to give you a little bit of update of what I found out today. First off, our prayer tour is going amazing. We had, I think I saw 15 to 20 people there praying and walking through the Capitol, lifting up our governor, lieutenant governor, all of our legislators, that kind of thing. So if you haven't checked out that prayer guide, go to fpiw.org, scroll down to the middle of the page and look for the 2025 prayer tour. And you'll see the prayer guide there. You can do that as anytime throughout the week. We just need to be praying, because how many of us know that the battle starts spiritually before we start debating the bills? And so we need you to take that action and to be involved in that. I did some on the street interviews. I don't know how many I did, 10, 15 of them this morning. We'll be having those come out and just asking people, what are they passionate about, or why are they at Olympia today? And it was very interesting as I listened to people. We had people from housing to people on medical issues for prosthetics to people who were concerned from the unions. And so there was a lot of activists there today, I guess you could say, to testify on bills and to be a part of those things as well. So a lot of good things. That footage will be coming out a little bit later today, probably tonight. I'll post a lot of that when I get back to my hotel, what have you. So there's going to be some exciting things coming up, and want to encourage you to be involved in the public square. You know, the Bible says that we are to be salt and light in the public square, and so to take a stand on that. So we are going to have a guest here in just a few moments, and so if you're doing some bill research, we're going to be talking about bill number 1629. That's 1629, and we will be discussing trans women, which are actually men, being housed, who are incarcerated, being housed with biological women. And so a representative from Gig Harbor will be commenting on that in just a few moments to get us involved on that. So just wanted to see, make sure that everything's working. Can someone type in the comments that you can hear me okay? Let me know that the audio is working and we've got this up and running for you. Also want to let you know that there's some other bills out there that you're going to want to be following. I'm going to look in our Washington Defender app right here for just a moment. and check it out. So we got our bills posted for the day. Now, as you go through them, you may have a slight different position on certain things. It's perfectly okay. There's a whole bunch of deadlines coming up because we know that we need to take a stand in Washington State so that righteousness and loving our neighbor can take place. And so be checking out SB 5504, which mandates that health authorities must either require or provide payment at-home agencies for complex care services as part of the private duty nursing care. So there's that bill. There's a lot of healthcare bills. And of course, for FPIW, we're venturing into other areas that we haven't historically done. So in the past, we've mostly worked on life issues, and we've worked on parental rights, religious liberty, and marriage. And so those are incredibly important to us. But we're going to also talk about housing and energy and these other areas that we can that she can do. So I think she has the wrong link, is what it is. So we're just going to play a little video here, and I'll be right back. I'm going to try to get our special guest on just in a few moments.
I think we've got it mixed up in the one.
Okay, bye.
So we had a little technical difficulty there, but we got this all together. So we're in the same place the technical world can be fun.
Yes.
So I'm going to add our representative. There you go.
There's my forehead.
Well, welcome to the program today. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and I apologize. My staff or myself or whoever sent you the wrong link, and so that was our bad.
That's okay.
Well, I'm excited that you're taking a stand today. Let's talk about bill number 1629. I think you're the sponsor of that bill, and kind of just educate me, as you know, I don't know much about it.
So essentially, this was a different bite of the apple in terms of trying to solve the problem where we have transgendered individuals who are biological men who identify as women coming into the women's prison. And we've had issues with some of the female inmates being, subject to sexual abuse and also physical abuse. And so this was an effort to help protect them.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, I don't know if you know this, but I was a sheriff's chaplain for 25 years. And so I worked in that arena for a lot of years. I was a volunteer position, but had about 100 chaplains that worked for me. I look at this, and so if I'm hearing you right, what you're saying is trans women, i.e. biological men, are who may even have a history of abuse. Is that accurate? Are being housed in biological women's cells in their housing. Is that accurate or?
Correct. A few years ago, I started receiving a bunch of complaints, not only from the staff, but also from family members of the incarcerated women who were at the Purdy prison, and that's in my district. I reached out to the head of the Department of Corrections, and I said, hey, since I've been receiving all of these complaints, I'd like to have a tour, and I wanted this to be bipartisan because the reality of it is I'm in a minority and I have to work with the majority, even if I disagree with them on certain issues. And the way that I look at it is that the more people who are identifying as trans, we've got to figure out, how to safely house them, as well as safely, house the women as well. And so let's come together and figure out what some good solutions are. At that point, the head of Department of Corrections said, if you are going to ask any questions on transgendered individuals, the tour's canceled. And so they canceled the tour on me. And fast forward to today, and right before session started, we had a woman who is now suing the state because she was housed, her room, her bunkmate was somebody who was a sex offender. And she alleges that he sexually abused her. And in my opinion, I think that, that was very predictable, and that our state is going to continue to have lawsuits, which is taxpayers paying out. In addition, we owe it to the women who are at the prison to keep them safe. Most of those women have been physically and sexually abused by men themselves, and there's a reason why they make bad choices. And how on earth do we expect them to become rehabilitated if we're continually traumatizing them? This is not a good policy, and we're not doing our job.
So these are trans women, i.e. men, who still have the plumbing of a man, and so they're able to abuse these women either again or and take advantage of that situation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what I did not realize is that when somebody identifies as trans, they are allowed to bring in devices as well. And so in the lawsuit, those devices were also brought up as well, which it's a whole new world for me. So I'm still learning.
Yeah, I hear you. And this is a PG show, but so we're trying to say it.
Yes.
But so there's just a level of so here's one of the things I think is really important. A trans woman, i.e. a man, I keep saying that because I think people get confused, still has testosterone flowing through their body. So they have the strength advantage. They have the physical advantage typically. Now I can tell you that there are some women who could just take me out, right? Because they're more trained in martial arts or what have you. So, but that's very rare and few and far between people who are incarcerated and trained in that. It also presents an interesting problem because in the male population, the transgender women probably aren't safe there as well. I mean, quite frankly, depending on the situation. So it's almost like they need to do what we're doing in the sports arena, where they have their own category. Is that what you're thinking, or what are you thinking?
So the bill alone basically just said that that you cannot have somebody, if they've had a history of sexual or physical violence towards the sex that they're going to be, in the prison
Right.
with, that
Right.
they cannot be housed in that same room. That's all that the bill does, because
Okay.
very realistic, which with the
Right.
lay of the land. And there's another representative, Cindy Jacobson, who dropped another bill basically separating them. But I knew that wasn't even going to
Right.
get any traction at all. So I was trying to find something that they would even work with me on to protect those women. And so far, I have not received a hearing. I'm still going to
Okay.
keep trying. But yeah,
Do you have a co-sponsor
that's
yet, or are you
kind
looking?
well, so the interesting thing was that originally I had one bill drafted, and I had a lot of Republican co-sponsors. I reached out to Disability Rights Washington, because Disability Rights Washington was the organization that sued uh, the state to allow transgender individuals in the prisons, right?
Mhm.
So I reached out to them because I knew that if they were going to fight this bill, and that there would be a very good chance that it wouldn't even get a hearing. And so I worked with them to get different language. And because of the timing, I just dropped it and did not have any co-sponsors. But I know that my caucus is supportive of
Okay.
any efforts to help protect those women.
What are you asking our Washington defenders to do? So we have members all across the state. Are you asking them to contact their representative? What's the action that you're asking for?
So the biggest action would be to reach out to the chair, which is Roger Goodman, to get a hearing on this bill. That, to me, this is common sense. That our number one job should be to protect the women who are currently incarcerated, and I don't understand why there is no efforts to protect those women.
Right.
And, like I said before, I mean, I heard about this years ago from the family members, and the family members would say that when the women spoke out, that they were feeling afraid, that they were not feeling safe. The women were the ones that got in trouble. And,
Mhm.
that is so backwards. There's a reason as to why we have a women's prison. There's a reason why we separate out the men from the women, because there are distinct advantages that a man has if they want to hurt a woman.
Right. Right. Mhm. Now, you said Roger, say his last name again, just so we're all clear.
Roger Goodman.
Okay, so Washington defenders, you can go to FPIW Action, and you can look under the House Representatives and look up Roger Goodman's email. It's right there. All the contact information is there. And we want you to email him and say, let's get 1629 into committee so that they can have a hearing, right? And what
Yes.
committee is that? Just so I know.
Public safety.
So Public Safety Committee, you could also switch over to the committee section and email the entire committee at once if you want as well.
Yes.
I always want to encourage people, don't be rude, don't be obnoxious. It won't get us anywhere. Be clear, be concise, tell them what you want. And that Representative Michelle Caldier is trying to get 1629 to make sure that biological women are safe. I think that's incredibly important. This is not an out there ultra-right issue. In fact, I think that all women should be safe when it comes to these things and not re-suffer abuse in their relationships. I know you have other bills. If you want to talk on 1582 or 1363 or 1307, let me know. We only said this one, but any of those other ones that you want to mention while we're on today?
Well, I have a variety of other bills that I'm working on, some with fixing the ferry system, some with, I have another one that basically says that, with the Climate Commitment Act, that all of the funding that we, that one of the things that bother me the most about, the policies that we pass here in Olympia is that we don't think about the consequences to the rest of the state. So, for example, with the Climate Commitment Act, we have huge impacts, like the school districts, they still have all of their costs, energy costs go up 20%. We still have their gas prices going up 50 cents a gallon. And basically it said of the Climate Commitment Act money, because in my opinion, a lot of the projects that we have that are going to supposedly help the environment don't actually help the environment, and to use that money to kind of make the districts whole.
Right.
And it was basically to show what the impacts are that we're passing on to all of our state, and that we're being very unilateral in terms of the bills that we're passing, and not thinking about the consequences that we have across the state. So yeah.
Well, good. Well, Representative Michelle Caldier, I'm so thankful that you're taking the stand to save women. I like your idea on environment. At Family Policy Institute, ours is to cultivate and keep the land, but not worship the land. In other words, we're here to be good stewards of what's out there, but we're not necessarily there to put that first. There's a balance. I remember when Ronald Reagan said, "Yeah, we've got to find the in between the birdhouse and the cold directed pot," or whatever, however he said that. And it's like, no, yeah, it's that there's balance to it. So we would love to have you on anytime you want to talk about your bills. And just let us know. Yeah. So our action for today for Washington Defenders is to email the committee, the Public Safety Committee, or the chair of that committee. You can go to FPIW Action, look under committees, and email the whole committee or the chair of it. We know that if we stand together, the grassroots will be able to get their voice out there, let it be heard. Again, how we approach things is important. I have no problem with clarity. I do have problems when we start being rude. So let's be polite, kind, and thoughtful, but let's be abundantly clear of what we want people to do. Any closing remarks, Michelle?
No, I think that one of the bigger, obviously, things, and I'm sure you've talked about this, is the Parents' Rights Initiative. I'm sure people have seen the remarks from the Senate Democrat leader, Jamie Peterson. This is truly their agenda. When people tell you what their agenda is and who they are, we need to listen. And that Parents' Rights Initiative, that was something that, we had an overwhelming number of people who signed that initiative. The legislature passed it. And the Democrats thought that it was going to pass, as a vote of the people. So that's why they passed it. And then they come back later and then they go, oh, well, all the other initiatives failed. So maybe this one would have failed as well. And now that's what they're pushing. And we need to stand strong. Our children, they should not be subject to being able to make their own decisions. 13 is way too young to be thinking about getting any sort of hormone therapy, any sort of surgeries to change your body. What was originally passed 40 years ago was talk therapy, that children can go and talk to a therapist. It had there was no intention that it was ever going to be what we currently have now. And this is not okay. You need to stand strong, and we need to hear from you, because that is such a huge issue that we have in our state. And I think that we can hopefully stop it. And if not, we hold their feet to the fire.
Right.
Elections have consequences, and we need to keep fighting and making sure that parents have a voice in their children's lives.
Yeah, and so this Saturday we have a meet at the Capitol on this issue at noon. I'll be there. A number of us will be there. A number of organizations saying that the parent is the primary stakeholder of the child's life. And that's legal guardians, that's adoption, that's all, whatever that is. And that enough is enough. The Parent Bill of Rights, the parents have spoke and said in Initiative 2081 that we want parents to parent and educators to educate, not the government become the parent of the child. And so, there's a lot of things that people aren't thinking through. For instance, our kids are on our healthcare until they're 26, but then they can somehow mandate what they do at 13 with our healthcare plans. These are just disconnects that we have. And my heart goes out to anyone who's struggling with same-sex attraction or gender dysphoria or any of those things. But the reality is keeping that from the person who loves them the most is not loving or beneficial. We need to have parents who will take a stand. And so this Saturday, if you want to come down and be a part of that, that time at the Capitol, we'll be on the steps. I believe it's at noon. I think that's what we're permitted for. We'd love to have you be a part of that as well. And I'm trying to remember the bill numbers. I keep getting the 5321, which is the abortion bill, and the 5161, I think it is, if I remember. Anyway, but
yeah, no, I get the bill numbers all mixed up too. I used to memorize them, but after this is my 11th year and I gave up. So that's why.
Awesome. So thanks for bringing that up, Michelle. I truly appreciate it. So again, if you haven't checked out 1629, I want you to check it out. We're trying to make sure that incarcerated women are safe from transgender women or biological men. And so it's just a practical, common sense bill, really. You're just saying, listen, if you got the plumbing of a man, we're not going to put you into a woman's cell. And then now I guess I don't really understand this, but there's devices they can bring in as well, which could be detrimental.
I'm learning. I learned that as well. I did not know.
Yeah. And there's just a physical advantage that men have, whether we like that or not. Again, we're not talking about the value of a man and equal value, but we're built differently. And so 1629, and we want you to email the Public Safety Committee, if I got that right, and the chair of that committee as well. So check that out, FPIW Action. We have those committees listed for you, one click to email. Also in the Washington Defender app, still one click. You can do it all right there. So there's no excuses. We've made it easy and incredibly fun to be involved in the public square. All right, Representative Michelle, I've taken more time than you allotted to me, so I feel
that's okay. I am truly honored to be on, and we need to make sure that we get as many people as possible coming down and sharing their voice and hopefully influencing. There's just a few core group of Democrats that we need to get to, because I will tell you the Republicans are locked up on these issues, and we need to do what we can to influence Democrats to hopefully stop the gutting of the Parents' Rights Initiative, as well as putting forward the bill to protect women in prison. So thank you.
And that's why we're starting, at FPIW, that's more of our religious part of us, right? So at FPIW, we've started these prayer campaigns. Every day we come down and we pray, because we know that it starts with that softening of the heart through prayer. And we pray for wisdom and insight over our electeds, that they would be able to do that. And then our action part says, hey, we also, after we pray, we need to let our voice be heard. And so it's both. It's, I think sometimes in the faith movement, they've gone one way or the other. And I think it's both. I think you pray and then you also speak up and you say enough is enough. And so let's unite. I believe there's a lot of conservatives and liberals who want to make sure that their children are protected. I think there's a lot of conservatives and liberals who want women to be protected. I don't know of anyone who wants a woman to be abused, molested, raped, those kind of things. And so thank you for taking a stand on these issues. So like we like to say around here, go out there and defend and advance biblical values in the public square. God bless.
God bless.
You love our beautiful state, but does fighting for issues that most affect families ever feel like you're climbing alone? It can feel like an uphill climb in a hostile environment that champions causes detrimental to Washington families. Again and again, the summit feels out of reach, but you don't have to climb alone. With like-minded people fighting for Washington families by your side, the journey becomes not just possible, but powerful. The Defender app, brought to you by the Family Policy Institute of Washington, connects you with your team for the climb ahead. Connect with conservatives who care about issues affecting families in your specific county and across our state in order to make our voices be heard locally and in Olympia. Simply click Learn to stay informed about the latest news affecting families. With one click, press Huddle to team up with other conservative minds in your specific county who care about how these issues affect you in your unique community. Then simply press Activate to get involved and to make your voice heard on legislation that matters in Olympia. With the Washington Defender app, you won't face the fight alone. Together, we can make a difference for families in Washington. Download the Washington Defender app today A simple way to let your voice be heard